Breaking news has just hit the airwaves and we're talking about it right now. Hello guys and welcome back to our channel. Now in this video, President Trump has signed an executive order to dismantle the US Department of Education, marking a seismic shift in federal education policy. Now this move aims to return decision-making power to individual states, fulfilling Trump's long-standing pledge to reduce federal oversight in education. Now as expected, reactions are pouring in, with many hoping this executive order gets blocked, but what's really raising eyebrows is how Trump used kids as props during the signing ceremony. It's a move that's really sparking heated debate. So what does this mean for the future of education? Now, some experts believe that loans from the Department of Education will be transferred to new loan services, which could have significant implications for borrowers. Apparently, these new services will need to prove that loans are legitimate before reporting them on credit reports, and borrowers will have the power to consent before any reporting takes place. Now, in this video, we'll break it all down. We'll break down into the details of Trump's executive order, explore the potential consequences, and examine what this really means for the future of education in America. So stay tuned as different people share their thoughts. I will be right back.
Breaking news for Thursday, March 20th, 2025. As of 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, President Donald Trump has signed an executive order to begin dismantling the Department of Education. He signed the document in the East Room with Linda McMahon sitting right next to him, the new Secretary of Education, and he also had children sitting in school desks all around him. White House officials say that the department will begin being smaller than it is today. However, Pell Grants will not be affected, civil rights cases will not be affected, and student loans will still be run out of the Department of Education. White House officials also claim that students with special needs and disabilities will not be affected, and the executive order will not affect schools who are Title I schools, urban schools, or low-income students. This administration knows that they cannot dismantle the department completely. That would take an act of Congress. However, this executive order that he signed today, it seems like they're trying to go past and sidestep lawmakers and give most of the power and most of the money back to the states for them to decide how they run their own state departments of education. A few weeks ago, I told you how they already started to gut the department by slashing the workforce in half and sending people home on leave. Many state lawmakers and state departments of education are not prepared to fully take on all the responsibilities of running everything that the federal government ran for decades. What happens now? And what's next for students and states and teachers? Stay tuned.
What's going to happen to student loans when Donald Trump signs the executive order to dismantle the Department of Education? Reportedly, they have been struggling to find somebody else to take up those loans, and nobody else want to touch it. Do that mean like people don't have to pay back their student loans? It's like when you have something go to collections. The company you originally owed that money to sold that debt to another company. I don't have to pay that. You already sold it. That's no longer my responsibility. You wasn't even supposed to. I don't owe anything to you. So like if I owe money to AT&T and then AT&T shuts down, who do I owe that money to now? Matter of fact, I'll tell you what you do. Get Elon to go in there and start pressing buttons. Just delete. Let's just see what happens. Just the only button he can press is delete. Okay. So just let him go in there for the Department of Education and just delete. Just let him go in there. Just tap delete until his little heart gets full.
So Donald Trump is officially signing an order to dismantle the Department of Education, all this and all of that. Now, I hope that gets blocked. Like the dismantling of USAID has been blocked. I hope that gets blocked, but that ain't even my issue no more, because nothing that this administration does surprises me. My issue is, who are the parents that agreed to have those kids sit on that stage like props? Then they sprinkled that one little black kid in there for a little razzle dazzle. Like, where's his parents at? Like, what? Like, the thought process of some humans is like, it's insane to me. Like, for you to allow your kid to, I seen somebody in the comments said this is equivalent to roaches lining up to be sprayed with a can of Raid. Like, in what thought process did you think that was okay?
This is going to get so many people pissed off. So many people. Trump has officially signed an executive order to abolish the Department of Education. What does this mean to you? What this means, the loans from the Department of Education are going to be transferred over to new loan servicers. They need to prove that this debt is yours and they cannot report it on credit reports without your consent. Time to remove them off of your credit. I made this very simple for everyone. If you go to the link in my profile, you're going to see where it says, buy me a coffee. You're going to find dispute letters with instructions to who you're going to send it to, how to utilize the CFPB, and remove those student loans off of your credit report.
Does anybody in the spiritual community know what's going on right now? The astrology baddies, where are the girls that can read the planets and the stars? What is going on? And it's just like the last week or so, maybe the last 2 weeks. Is there a planet circulating the wrong way? Is Mercury up to something? Like, what is happening? And it just feels like, I guess the best way to explain it is like, it just feels like, what does that mean?
This is breaking news. Trump signs an executive order to abolish the Department of Education. What does this mean? This is a golden opportunity for you to remove student loans off of your credit report, and I'm going to explain why. With the end of the Department of Education, there's going to be credit reporting issues, loan servicing disruptions. There is going to be a surge of delayed payments or processing errors, and most of the time these get reported on your credit report, which are inaccurate, not your fault. Incorrect reporting during transitions and loan status changes. All this which leads to tons of inaccurate information on your credit report. All incorrect and unverified reporting on your credit report must be removed. The end of the Department of Education also allows you to dispute the student loan and remove it off of your credit report. I made it very simple for everyone. If you go to the link in my profile, you're going to see where it says, buy me a coffee. In there, you're going to see a dispute letter that includes all the letters, the instructions to who you're going to send it to, and what to do. And on top of that, we're going to include the CFPB with this complaint. So go to the link in my profile. You're going to see where it says, buy me a coffee. The letter is going to be right there. Let's go.
To all on Facebook people, tap. As y'all see in the first post, Trump is about to start cutting down on school education. Now, y'all, I posted this post November 27. Y'all see I got 18 shares. But on one of the girls' shares, she reposted it and said, Trump is not going to do this. Y'all believe everything. One of the girls commented under there. And she started arguing and saying this and this, and then she tagged me. So I went word for word with her. Trump is not going to do it. They're not going to allow him to do that. First of all, to the girl page that reposted it, she got back on here in January on Facebook and says, oh my God, y'all pray because he haven't put that pen down. Don't pray now. Don't pray now. Because you the main one was saying he wasn't going to do nothing. Now next, to the girl that was arguing with me in the comments, because you swear he wasn't going to do this, and he been chopping down, and he ain't put that pen down since he got in office. Now, I'm not the one to say, bad things about people, but girl, you was really on there arguing me down. And I was posting facts for you. And you was like, oh, y'all just believe everything. Y'all just do it. Y'all just shit. I the one made the post. So I read a little bit of the Project 2025. It was 900 and something pages. So please, he's going to start cutting down. So what we're going to do as black people, we're going to start teaching our kids at home about slavery, about things that we went through, our ancestors. We're going to start teaching our kids from home.
Okay, so the thing with the Department of Education, let me tell y'all, I don't know a lot about it because I ain't watching news. Obviously, I don't watch nothing but Netflix. But, yeah. So I just received a letter the other day. Well, I've been receiving a series of letters, right? But I finally got the one finalized that said, boom, loans forgiven. You ain't got to repay these loans, and whatever you pay towards these loans, we're going to send back to you. So I am pretty sure the world is not ending and that all these layoffs got to do with the fact that they're giving us back our money. Pretty sure all those layoffs got to do with, I mean, I could be wrong. And then everything does have a trickle-down effect. But I'm sure what jumped it off was them forgiving people's loans. Now, mine was only $6,000. And don't be mad at me about my little $6,000, because I still probably got $27,000 in other schools, you know. But for that one school, they were like, yeah, we're gonna forgive everything that you know got for this school right here, because that school's. And so that's probably why people are losing their jobs, because how can they afford to not recoup those funds that they gave to those schools? I'm just saying, I don't know. You know, I know a little bit, you know. I don't know a lot, but I know a little bit. That's why I don't be on talking TikTok, because I ain't got nothing to talk about. I don't know nothing. I ain't mastered nothing. I don't want to. Too much energy.
And my loans will be gone with an education. You can't take one without take two. My loans will be gone. You tear down, my loans go. This is not the game. That's why you just don't go up into my canals and start. You don't know what they got going on. You need to play. If you tear down the Department of Education, if you dismantle top to the bottom, you forgot that student loans are a part of this problem. So guess what? It's gone too. Because guess what? The Department of Education don't exist no more. And nobody's gonna buy our loans so that they can charge us for loans. Because they know that's a fat ass debt and they're not gonna get penny's worth. Even if you sell it for half the price. Nobody wants it. So guess what? You might want to watch and you might want to stop signing that before I don't owe you nothing.
Mr. Black again. And if you're here, you're part of the underground. So today, March 20th, 2025, Donald Trump will sign an executive order asking Linda McMahon, the Secretary of the Department of Education, to dismantle the organization, that department, saying send it back to the states, and that the federal government has done a woeful job at educating our children. Newsflash. The federal government does not do curriculum for the states. The states are in charge of their curriculum and their education. That's why you have local boards of education, you have state commissions, and all of that thing. What the Board of Education does is ensure that children who can't afford it eat, ensure that the facilities meet standards, that they can have an environment for learning. The reason for this is another act in this imperial presidency to grasp power. And to give power from the people, from the working class, the middle class, the poor, to the oligarchs, the rich. You see, what the Department of Education does do is offer grants and student loans to children, to young adults who can't otherwise afford it. And this is their way to elevate their social economic level. And this is a way of keeping those people in their place. And you will have more mediocre kids from the wealthy in positions of power. It is an assault on the people. It is an assault on we the people. It is time to resist. It is time to let Donald Trump know that we will not take this lying down.
Now, President Donald Trump signed an executive order Thursday calling for the dismantling of the U.S. Education Department, advancing a campaign promise to take apart an agency that's been a long-time target of conservatives. Now, Trump has derided the Education Department as wasteful and polluted by liberal ideology. However, completing its dismantling is most likely impossible without an act of Congress, which created the department in 1979. Republicans said they will introduce legislation to achieve that, while Democrats have quickly lined up to oppose the idea. Now, the order says the Education Secretary Secretary will, to the maximum extent appropriate and permitted by law, take all necessary steps to facilitate the closure of the Department of Education and return authority over education to the states and local communities. Now, it offers no detail on how that work will be carried out or where it will be targeted, though the White House said the agency will retain certain critical functions. Now, Trump said his administration will close the department beyond its core necessities, preserving its responsibilities for Title I funding for low-income schools, Pell Grants, and money for children with disabilities. The White House said earlier Thursday that the department will continue to manage federal student loans, but the order appears to say the opposite. Now, it says the Education Department doesn't have the staff to oversee its $1.6 trillion loan portfolio and must return bank functions to an entity equipped to serve America's students. Now, at a signing ceremony, Trump blamed the Department for America's lagging academic performance and said states would do a better job. "It's doing us no good," he said. Already, Trump's Republican administration has been gutting the agency. Its workforce is being slashed in half, and there have been deep cuts to the Office for Civil Rights and the Institute of Education Sciences, which gathers data on the nation's academic progress. Education Secretary Linda McMahon said she will remove red tape and empower states to decide what's best for their schools. But she promised to continue essential services and work with states and Congress to ensure a lawful and orderly transition. Part of her job will be exploring which agencies can take on the Education Department's various roles, she said. Now, the Department of Justice already has a civil rights office, and I think that there is an opportunity to discuss with Attorney General Bondi about locating some of our civil rights work there, McMahon told reporters after the signing. The measure was celebrated by groups that have long called for an end to the department. For decades, it has funneled billions of taxpayer dollars into a failing system, one that prioritizes leftist indoctrination over academic excellence, all while student achievement stagnates and America falls further behind, said Kevin Roberts, president of the Heritage Foundation. Advocates for public schools said eliminating the department would leave children behind in a fundamentally unequal education system. Now, this is a dark day for the millions of American children who depend on federal funding for a quality education, including those in poor and rural communities with parents who voted for Trump, NAACP President Derek Johnson said. Opponents are already gearing up for legal challenges, including Democracy Forward, a public interest litigation group. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, DNAY, called the order a tyrannical power grab and one of the most destructive and devastating steps Donald Trump has ever taken. Now, Margaret Spellings, who served as Education Secretary under Republican President George W. Bush, questioned whether the department will be able to accomplish its remaining missions and whether it will ultimately improve schools. Will it distract us from the ability to focus agently on student achievement, or will people be figuring out how to run the train? She asked. Now, Spelling said schools have always been run by local and state officials and rejected the idea the Education Department and federal government have been holding them back. Now, currently, much of the agency's work revolves around managing money, both its extensive student loan portfolio and a range of aid programs for colleges and school districts, like school meals and support for homeless students. The agency also is key in overseeing civil rights enforcement. Now, the Trump administration has not addressed the fate of other department operations, like its support for the technical education and adult learning, grants for rural schools and after-school programs, and a federal work-study program that provides employment to students with financial need. States and districts already control local schools, including curriculum, but some conservatives have pushed to cut strings attached to federal money and provide it to states as block grants to be used at their discretion. Now, block granting has raised questions about vital funding sources, including Title I, the largest source of federal money to America's K-12 schools. Families of children with disabilities have despaired over what could come of the federal department's work protecting their rights. Now, federal funding makes up a relatively small portion of public school budgets, roughly 14%. The money often supports supplemental programs for vulnerable students, such as McKinney-Vento program for homeless students or Title I for low-income schools. Republicans have talked about closing the education department for decades, saying it wastes money and inserts the federal government into decisions that should fall to states and schools. Now, the idea has gained popularity recently as conservative parents groups demand more authority over their children's schooling. In his platform, Trump promised to close the department and send it back to the states, where it belongs. Trump has cast the department as a hotbed of radicals, zealots, and Marxists who overextend their reach through guidance and regulation. Even as Trump moves to dismantle the department, he has leaned on it to promote elements of his agenda. Now, he has used investigative powers of the Office for Civil Rights and the threat of withdrawing federal education money to target schools and colleges that run afoul of his orders on transgender athletes participating in women's sports, pro-Palestinian activism, and diversity programs. Now, the Sen, party mayor of Washington, a Democrat on the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Patients, dismissed Trump's claim that he's returning education to the states. She said he's actually trying to exert ever more control over local schools and dictate what they can and cannot teach. Even some of Trump's allies have questioned his power to close the agency without action from Congress, and there are doubts about its political popularity. The House considered an amendment to close the agency in 2023, but 60 Republicans joined Democrats in opposing it. We have finally come to the end of the video, but what do you, our viewers, have to say? Share your thoughts, your views, your contributions as well on what you think about this latest news. Thank you for always watching, and see you in our next video as we bring you another video.